That's how you turn lead into gold.
Oh, my Lord.
Comedy genius, I say. Huh? Oh. It's all good.
Good evening. I would like to take this opportunity to welcome you to the school board meeting this Tuesday, August 7th, 2018. If you wish to speak during the hearing of citizens, please pick up a card in the back of the chambers, print your name and topic clearly, and return the card to our board assistant, Kathy Tompkins. At the appropriate time, I will call you up to speak. Excuse me. Please stand for the flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Before we get started with the items on the agenda, I know the superintendent had sent a letter to the board requesting the item number 67 be withdrawn, and that was an action of the board from the prior meeting, so it would require an action of the board to be removed.
You want me? I would move that we remove, what item is that?
Item number 67.
Number 67 from the agenda.
Motion and a second. And that's the, do you have any comments? Mr. Robinson?
Yeah, I would hope that since this is such a contentious thing, that possibly since we have a retreat in December, can we I think there's some healing that needs to be done up here and some talking that needs to be done amongst the board before we go any further. I would just like to, not to take a motion, but I'm just telling you my preference is that we have some sort of retreat or workshop to discuss some of these issues that were raised that caused this motion to occur prior to having it come back in front of the board. I know the board can bring it forth whenever they want. I'm just one board member, and I'm hoping that at our next scheduled retreat we can sit down and hash out some of these issues, hash out things that came up with the evaluation, things that came out with the motion, things that have come out from the community prior to bringing this up at the board. But I'm not asking to amend the motion. I'm not asking to us take formal action. I'm just bringing forth my suggestion, and hopefully that a majority of the board feels likewise, that we need to come together and sit down and talk about some of these issues that caused the mere fact of the motion even being brought up.
Thank you. Mrs. Brown?
Well, I'm kind of torn on whether or not to pull it or just let it come up and vote it, and what we called in the legislature, kill it, black flag dead, because the language that's here, when we're talking about just removing, rather than exchanging and looking at the language that was in Lori White's contract, I think the motion, the letter that we received basically said we're going to bring the language back up again. I hope that when we pull it, that we understand that language in that form shouldn't be coming back up again, because I think you and I talked with legal opinions on that, and looked at what other counties have, and that without cause opened it up way too far, I think, where we had people wanting to move without cause. I think there should be a cause when you fire a superintendent, and some people have asked me to fire the superintendent, and I said, well, give me a fireable reason. Give me a fireable cause, and we haven't had that yet. If the scores had dropped, if the referendum hadn't passed, yeah, then I would have considered it. Right now, I don't consider one at this time, but I do think that unless we get past the kind of evaluations we had at their last meeting, where we had some board members with mostly ones, and we have the tension that we have with our union right now, that cannot continue. So I would really like to see not just the board members, but I think we have to sit down with the union and have some understanding. I understand the talk about rounding up. We're going to discuss at our workshop. But normally that's just us. We've got input from the union leaders too, I would think, on that, because I think we need to bring them in, because if we are not working together as a team, we're not working in the best interest of our children. And I believe that, yes, this amendment caused a lot of heartburn for a lot of people. And I don't want to judge one way or another why it was there, but it was one that, after looking at it, after it was written up, and I saw the language, it was a language that I couldn't agree to and I couldn't vote for, and I let people know who contacted me, and I still have probably another 20 or 30 emails today on it. I let them know that I was not prepared to vote for that. And I do believe that what you're asking, and I think we've asked for it before, to sit down and have a retreat, and where we let it out. I mean, because I think sometimes you just got to let it out, what you're aggravated about, and work through it. Because I don't think, if you don't agree, the 3-2 isn't a bad thing, but you need to pull consensus. You shouldn't have 2 highs, 2 lows, and 1 in the middle and move on saying, well, 3 of you think I'm okay. No, you've got to look at why those other ones are there. And so we can all come together and say, okay, let's make an effective team. Let's make a better than effective team to work forward. And I would hope that we can get I think I sent an email earlier to you in response to something I was hearing, and you said yes. Are we still there that we can have a meeting like this and we could invite other parties to and sit down and discuss it?
I believe my response to you was simple and spot on to count me in. So I'm open to anything that helps this board, this school community, move forward in the best interest of our kids.
So if that is what the consensus of the board is, then I would support this change.
Mrs. Zucker.
I support the issue, but I wrote something and I want to put it out there. I support leaving the language of the current superintendent's contracts as it has been agreed to, not as it has been changed. Subsequently, the board should also incorporate within its formal policies a set of clear operational procedures which describes how the Sarasota County superintendent is to be evaluated and the relationship of the results of that evaluation on a continued employment of the superintendent. The contract provisions with each superintendent, present and future, should then be in an agreement with the language of the board's policy. We need to establish a firm policy provision that applies to each person carrying out the duties of the superintendent. It should not be decided on the basis of one particular employment contract, nor one person. I therefore support retaining the contract language as we are proposing at this time. But I would also like us to wait until January, after the holidays, before we get together. This way, everything will be set down. If we have new board members, we have them. They'll be on track. They will have had some learning. So I hope we don't have new board members, but if we do, let's face it, and they need some time in order to be acclimated to their job as a school board member. So I would propose that we wait till January before we address putting together a policy regarding your contract. And in January, it will give us sufficient time because he's not evaluated again until June. So there's plenty of time in there instead of rushing it now and just upsetting everyone and just like a little ridiculous. So it's been a learning experience. And part of this was my problem because I brought up the motion at the last meeting to extend his contract. So I'm saying that I would like to wait till January and then have a full time training with the board and a superintendent.
Thank you. Mrs. Goodwin.
Well, I too support leaving the contract as it is. I brought the new assessment tool to us based on some things that I had seen in other counties, and we never discussed adding 5 scores up and divided by 5. That was never the intention of the issue. Had never come up before. We have never done that with the superintendent. So that in itself was a bit of a quandary. But I would say that I agree that we need to wait until after the holidays, till there is a new board, and we need to sit down and look at this in complete regard, without politics playing in and all the other things of an election. So I would agree to that. I think that the community has spoken. I appreciate all those people that have sent emails in and weighed in on their opinion. And I think we go forward now and see what happens in the new year. And I agree, we should have a meeting. We should have hopefully some discussion with the teachers union. But we ultimately have to work together as a board, and I think we all can do that and be amicable, and both to the superintendent and to all the students of this county. So I say thank you to the community, and we go forward. I will support this.
Thank you. I, too, obviously, when it was initially brought up, had significant concerns and heartburn. I will tell you that I'm really grateful that it was able to be postponed to a level where the community was able to weigh in. And I think, given the hundreds of emails that we, as a board, collectively received, I think it's indicative of this community and how passionate they are for our school district, and ensuring their voices are heard. And I applaud and thank everyone for that. As it relates to the retreat, I agree. I think it may sound silly from the outside, but it can be these are very passionate, emotional issues that we discuss, and I think retreats are healthy where people can recognize where different perspectives are. So as we've talked about board procedures, I think that should be adopted into it annually, having it, and that also being just a good, consistent process whenever there is a change over the board, and also just the opportunity for the board to reflect and look at new goals for moving forward. As it relates to the evaluation tool, for anyone who watched up here and at the beginning had explained, this was the first time we had used it, but it was probably I know it's painful up here, but I'm sure it was painful to watch out there. I know I mentioned to the superintendent that I think that given what we had learned, that we need to maybe tighten up the process from the timely standpoint, ensuring there's a neutral party receiving it, calculating it, if that's so. I know that was discussed in a workshop, but for clarity, that was where it got a little less than smooth when coordinating that. So I do believe there's absolutely room for improvement from the tool, but I think it's important to note that the tool was created as a collaboration of the board and the superintendent. First time we were running through it, but I think I want to make sure that was addressed. And ultimately, I'm going to support withdrawing this. I just fundamentally believe that some of the language that was proposed, one, I don't support it in general, but I also believe the timing of it was concerning. And so I'm committed to this board. I want to see us focus. I know we can do it. We have different viewpoints, but we can respect one another's viewpoints. And with that said, unless there are any additional comments, the motion is to withdraw item number 67 from the agenda. I have a second. So I'll take a voice vote. Mr. Robinson?
Yep.
Mrs. Goodwin?
Yes.
Mrs. Zucker?
Yes.
Mrs. Brown?
Yes.
And the chair votes aye, and the motion passes unanimously. Moving on. Moving on back to the agenda, we have special presentations. Tonight we have the pleasure to recognize Suncoast Technical College student Jacob Heaton, the Skills USA Gold Medal winner. Where are you, Jacob? And I'd like to invite Dr. Rhonda Pillow, the Executive Director of CTE, up to the podium.
Thank you, Ms. Chair, board members, Superintendent Bowden, Mr. Hardy. Tonight we are going to celebrate and recognize a young man who has fulfilled one of the board's goals to be college or career ready. And so without further ado, it's just an amazing story, and we know we're pressed for time, so I'm going to let those who have experienced it and recognize the teacher involved in the marine science technologies courses, Mr. Dan Scheidler, the teacher, and he will introduce some of these other fine folks that are supporting this young man and his amazing achievement that you'll hear in a moment. Mr. Scheidler.
Thank you. Board members and Dr. Bowden. I have to start just a little short thing. Number one, I've only been an instructor for about 7 years. About 7 years ago, I begged Dr. Bowden for a job, and somehow he anointed me, and we got it. About 2 months later, I actually sat in his office and said, we need some help in this program. And he said, what do you need? And I gave him a list. And he said, yeah, now what do we have to have? And from that point, we've worked forward. His goal and my goal were to make it what I consider the best program in the United States. Not the best in Florida, but the best in the country. I think that I was fortunate to have a set of parents who supported their student and their child. Mom and Dad who are behind me here. Jen, I can call you Mom, right? Yes. Okay. And they supported the student who took it upon himself, and he set two problems. Number one, he wanted to compete against other people, and I tried to explain to him, and I think he'll tell you that. I told him, you're not competing against anybody except yourself. We're not a baseball team. We don't know what their strengths or weaknesses are. All we know is that if you do the best and you lay your head down on the pillow at night, that's all we can ever ask out of any of our students any time. And so that was my goal to him when he left. It's still my goal there. The other problem he has is at 18 years old, he set a standard for himself. He was the best in the nation. And I know that's kind of hard for him to understand, and it's really hard for me to understand. So I'd like to introduce some people here that have made my program possible. Tim from Ingman Marine. Ingman Marine is, I believe they have 5 stores. 5. And they take my OJT students, and we put them out for 5 weeks at a time, and they've been very gracious. They've also provided us some scholarships to send some people to Kennesaw. Next to him, I have my immediate boss, Mr. Erickson. And next to him, I have Carrie, who is a district service manager for this area from Yamaha. Yamaha has donated to our program hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of equipment. So I'd like to invite the board members and everybody out here to, if you haven't been to STC, make arrangements to get there. I don't know what their policy is in letting the door, but if you call me on the phone, I'll tell student services to let you in, please. But I mean, it is absolutely a beautiful program. Next, and I'm going to let Mom talk here in a minute, but Jacob won for the school 90 horse? Yes. A 90 horse Yamaha motor because of his personality and who he is. They upgraded that. Okay, so we got a 300 4.2 digital throttle and shift motor. Wow. Okay, so, but save those hands. So I talked to him on the phone and I said, you got to remember Jake only missed medaling in the Nationals by 1 point the year before. So they said, how about if we double that? So we got 2 300 4.2 digital throttle and shift. Because of our continued alignment with Yamaha, they said, we haven't done the best that we could for you, so they sent me 2 V8 motors, all the digital throttle and shifts and controls for all 4 motors. They've given us hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of support, which Dr. Bowden told me that we could go out and do that. Ingman has given us scholarships to send students, so we're trying to involve our community. I hope everybody comes and realizes that we also need to support those who support us and our students, and that's been my goal. Mom?
going to tell a little story, and Colonel Bowman from Sarasota Military is here. She was his principal. In 10th grade, Jacob was at a very big crossroads, and I came and sat in her office, and with Jacob, we didn't know what path he was going to take. And she told him to follow his passion, to do what he loved to do. And he wrestled in 10th grade, and in 11th grade, he went to STC because he loved to work with boats. My husband and I have always had boats, and Jacob has always loved cleaning them and just tinkering on them, so he followed his passion. He won states in 11th grade, and he got to go to his first national competition, and he did. He missed it by 1 point. 1 point. He was devastated, wasn't sure he was going to do it again. Mr. Scheidler strongly encouraged him to go back, and so he did. In February, he won the regionals. In April, he won the states, and in June, he won the nationals. As a result of that, we paid $342 for his education. That was it. He makes, as an 18-year-old that graduated high school, just shy of 3 months, half of what I make. Is that not, that's amazing. He makes half of what I make. In this book here, he has received $72,000 worth of scholarships to attend other vocational programs. $72,000. So my gratitude to STC and to SMA and to Sarasota County, because not every kid is college bound. There are trade jobs out there. My dad was a trade worker. My husband is a trade worker. Not every kid is college bound. He graduated. $342 is all we had to pay for his education, and he is making a living wage already. So thank you. From a mom, that is an amazing thing. Thank you. Come on. He's very modest and shy.
So I started my program, it was 11th grade. I went into STC not really knowing or not really thinking about how it would excel me into the workforce. When we were up at the national competition, we actually got to meet Mike Rowe twice. He really emphasizes on the skills gap. I think he says there's over 1 million skilled jobs right now that are unemployed. And so the STC program works. If you have the support of your family, you have the support of your friends, everybody who's pushing you for it, it will work. You just have to put your heart and mind to it.
Mrs. Goodwin.
Wow, what a story. Well, I want to say thank you to all of the partners that we have. I want to say thank you to Mr. Seidler. Wow, what a story. You know, if you do what you have passion for, that makes all the difference in the world. And I am a strong advocate for technical education. For those kids that don't know where they want to go or don't know what they want to do or don't know what a 4-year degree would do for them, there's such a wedge now between technical college and a 4-year degree. And sometimes you come out on the other end with a 4-year degree and you don't have a skill that will get you a job. So, you know, I think that this is a wonderful thing because you have all these opportunities for further education, you have all the opportunities for a great job and a great career, and you're doing what you love. So I think we should have you in an advertisement, maybe in a commercial or something for technical college. I think we really do need to get this story. You know, Yamaha, Ingman Marine, you're great partners. Thank you so much for all you've done. And this shows the worthiness of the competition that you've gone through for 2 years, and that you can work under pressure. We know that, but you know we're in an area where being on the sea and working on boats is a great career and now that the economy is better, it's much more. But come back to see us. Let us know what you're doing. Let us know how things are going for you, because we want to hear from you and we want to know that things are just going great, because I know that your life is going to just trajectory right off the grid, because when you do what you love, it makes all the difference in the world. So very best of luck to you
Thank you.
And congratulations again to all of you.
Thank you. Mrs. Zucker.
I also want to take this opportunity to congratulate you, but also to congratulate Mom, because you had been a big supporter for him to be able to be successful. Because moms just don't hide away in a corner; they're out there pushing their child the best they can be. And I want to thank you.
Thank you.
I went to a technical high school. And I can always get a job with typing and STEM. My entire life, I was in demand. So technical education for me, I have a college degree also, but my primary one in high school was a technical degree. And I have been very glad for that because I'm never without a job, never. And I'd like to thank our fabulous instructors for seeing what this student could do and for making sure that he achieved the highest that he could. And I think that's what you've done. I'm sure there's always more you can do, but winning was great for you. And congratulate all of you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Dr. Bowden?
So many of you have heard me tell the story about when I first arrived at what was then SCTI, and we had just sold off the precision machining program. We've not talked a lot about our marine mechanics program. When I got there were a number of programs on what the previous administration referred to as a watch list, which means that enrollment was dropping, there was very little support for the program, and they were going to close the program. When I got to SCTI, marine mechanics was on that list. And Ms. Goodman, you hit it right on the nose, is when I saw marine mechanics on the list, we decided immediately that's not a program to be closed, that's a program to be overhauled. How in the world you could have a technical school in Sarasota, Florida that did not include a marine mechanics program as part of its curriculum, I just couldn't accept. If you're starting a program from scratch or you're trying to resurrect a program, there's only one thing you need, and you have to have a high-quality instructor. You can fake the rest. I'm telling you, if you have a high-quality instructor, I worked for a principal one time who said a good teacher could teach underneath a tree. Mm-hmm. And so the rebuilding of our marine mechanics program began with the hiring of Dan Scheidler. And Dan talked about coming in my office and saying, here's the things I need for the program. He earned that trust. When he came in and said, this is what I need for the program to be successful, I knew it wasn't extravagant. I knew it was what he needed to be successful. But more important, I knew we'd arrive at this point. I knew that he had a vision for that program, that he would build the support, and that his students would go on to do great things. And so, Dan, I want to thank you for a program that really was on its last breath to now generating national champions. It certainly is a testament to the quality, what one person, a high-quality instructor, can do for a program.
Thank you. Mr. Robinson?
Ron didn't get a chance to speak, but I just want to make sure that we don't forget about Ron. But Dan, thank you very much, and we've said this many times about how important the community is. So I want to re-echo Ms. Goodwin's statements about Yamaha and England Marine. But I'm dying to know. You look like Michael Phelps right now. What are the different gold medals for? I mean, what are all the different things that you won? Come on, brag about yourself right now.
So this one here is the national gold medal. These two are my state medals. It's an honor to wear them, just to be able to stand here at the age of 18 and be able to say that I am the best in the country.
But I agree with Mrs. Goodwin. This should not go quietly. I think there should be some sort of advertising campaign letting people know, come to STC and look what you can become. Look what you can do. Look what kind of things that we turn out. I agree with Ms. Goodwin. I'm sorry?
Where's Tracy?
Oh, Troy's Tracy. Oh, I'm trying to Tracy then. Tracy, get a notepad. I mean, this guy. I mean, look at my face. Look at that guy. I mean, we need this guy out in print, and this guy can help the program and expand the program. So I agree with Ms. Goodwin. So thank you.
Thank you. Mrs. Brown?
I think some of the credit also goes to you. You know, in 10th grade, he was having problems. And we could have let him just slide off into the sunset and not take care of him. You know, I was an honor student in school. I was on the student council and moved to a school that was having some racial problems. Went back to my old school but my father had left town, but my mom had 8 kids. And out of those 8 kids, only 2 graduated from high school, and they were the 2 that graduated when the stepfather was still around. The rest of us, for one reason or another, I went to that district, and instead of helping me, I had a guidance counselor that basically said, well, if you leave quietly, we won't sue your mother. And then I was the one who was always trying to take care of everything. I mean, so I left quietly, and I got a full-time job at computers when they first started, and doing inventories on punch cards. I could have counted that 2000 election. I know how to do those punch cards. I mean, but I did everything from decollating. I don't know. That's when reports came out with carbon paper in between them, to do that, to finding errors in computer programs. I mean, because when you're young and you're ready, you're like a sponge, you're ready to take all that stuff. And we need to direct those kids at that age, not throw them away. Not say you all have to go to college and get a degree if you are going to be successful. And I think that's something important for all of us to understand. Not enough parents, I think, understand that. I mean, they look, if the kid doesn't have a college degree, they're successful. And a lot of people in the real world out there think that too. Mm-hmm. There are a lot of people who succeed without a college degree. Education helps, no doubt about it. But you had something in your core, not just your mind, but in the core of who you are, that you wanted to succeed. I mean, it's something that I had too. I mean, I could make it. I think you will too. And I'm glad that you pointed him in that direction to make sure that you continue to succeed. Didn't tell you that, well, you're a throwaway, you know, if you don't want to stay in school, you're no good. No, we can find something for you. And I want to make sure, like you say, every child, every day, we have to make sure that we can find what it is that's going to help that child succeed. And if those children, like my little sister who was a first grader who was lost, I mean, she needed emotional support. We need to give those kids support so that, you know, I think if I was in Sarasota County when that left, I think the rest of us would have graduated. I think our school provides that support, and I'm really fighting to make sure we always do. Every child, every day. We can't all get gold medals, but we can try. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I will let you sit down very soon. I'm sorry, but this is too good to not pass up, and truly, congratulations. I think a lot of what was touched upon here is so true. I am a big advocate of CTE and technical education, and, you know, I think education's a lifelong journey, and it comes in various forms. And so absolutely the 4-year college is the right path for some, but not all. And the stigma of not having it is something I think this community has worked very hard, and actually is quite ahead of the curve compared to other school districts to really push the promotion of that. And I want to give a hat off to Mom, because what we find when we talk about this is there are students who want to do that when they get in there, and they find that it opens up their eyes to a whole different world of education that they didn't find in traditional academia, if you will. But there's this stigma that oftentimes parents will maybe not be so supportive. So kudos to you, because it really means a lot. And Colonel Bowman, thank you for, I mean, really, I think it was a group effort, but it just shows how much opportunity there is. And like I said, education has many different forms. And so this isn't to diminish your hard work, because that's ultimately the core of what your drive making this happen. That's all you. That's why you had the gold chains. No, and congratulations. But I think you would be a great spokesperson, a testament to again, education is a lifelong journey, and it takes multiple forms. So we'll get you a deal with Mike Rowe and get you on some Dirty Jobs commercials and stuff. So congratulations. Thank you so much. Next.
Wait.
Nope.
Wait.
Yes, of course. Oh, my goodness, absolutely. That was awesome. Next, this evening, we have the pleasure to welcome the newest district elementary principals. I'd like to invite Mr. Chris Renoff, Executive Director of Elementary Schools, to the podium for introductions.
Good evening, Madam Chair, members of the board, Superintendent Bowden, Mr. Hardy. But I wanted to get up here quick before Jacob got away.
Jacob, can you, Dr. Pill?
I just want to make sure that he hears, because that is such a touching and inspirational story.
They're getting them. Hold on one second.
Okay,
You aren't done yet. Sorry.
Jacob, we won't keep you, but I'm Chris Renoff. I'm the Executive Director of Elementary. First of all, I just want to say congratulations again on behalf of all of us. We would love to have you come speak to our kids.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Congratulations. I know where you live, so I'll find out. So thank you again. Congratulations.
Thank you. Now you are dismissed. No.
So I want to keep that positivity and praise. You know, that theme is just wonderful. And so with that, it's an honor to be here tonight to introduce four new elementary principals. Doesn't happen often. So I want to introduce Patty Folino, Jennifer Nzeza, Troy Thompson, and Cynthia Throw. Words cannot begin to express how incredible these individuals are. They are so uniquely qualified for the positions in which they've been placed as leaders, as you can see from the brief bio that I provided for your reference. But that is just the tip of the iceberg. There's so much more to each of these leaders and to all of our leaders that defines who they are as people and champions for our children. So I urge and invite all of you, as busy as your schedules are, to go on out, see them in action, in their element, because I can tell you it's truly awe-inspiring to see them at work, supporting their teachers, their staff, their students, and families. That being said, I want you to get to know our leaders a little bit tonight, so I've thrown in a little twist into the introduction process this evening. So, given that we have four, I'm going to read a few fun, interesting facts that are pertinent to each principal. And while I'm reading those facts, I'm going to ask that you quietly see if you can guess which principal I'm referring to. And then, once announced, I'll invite the principal to come on up to say a few words to introduce any guests that may have been able to attend this evening and to be recognized. So are you ready?
Ready.
Yes.
All right.
Buzzers are ready.
Remember, we're thinking quietly, no shouting out, and there's no test afterward.
No.
I know. We can do it. So our first leader lived on the island of St. John in the Virgin Islands, has traveled to 5 of the 7 continents, has climbed to the summit of the Sydney Harbour Bridge in Australia, and earned black belts in karate and jiu-jitsu, and was tournament champion at the World Martial Arts Games. If you think you know, I would like to ask Jennifer Nzeza, the proud principal at Southside Elementary, to please stand forward, say a few words.
That's awesome. That is wrong. Wow.
Hoping one of you would get it. I've been asked to share a story of impact, and I'd like to do that now for you all. Thank you so much for having me tonight. My story of impact centers around the selfless and incredible teamwork that I've witnessed among my office staff recently. As you can imagine, being a new principal beginning the school year is filled with an abundance of excitement and an equal dose of anxiety. You want things to be perfect. Everything from messaging to the look of the school, to the staff meeting agenda, and the first day breakfast, of course. You want every detail to be just right. Well, it was the Thursday of the week that our office staff returned to school, that I learned that my administrative assistant would be out for several weeks starting the following Monday. So I'm sure that you all are very well aware of how important the role of an administrative assistant is. You have the lovely Kathy Tompkins to help you make your lives run more smoothly. We had one more day to get together to kind of walk through all of the things that we needed to do to get ready for the following Monday. And we realized that we really didn't have enough time to accomplish everything that we needed to get done. This is when my bookkeeper, my registrar, and my receptionist sprung into action. They rallied together as a team to help make sure all the details that were normally covered by my administrative assistant were followed through. These superstars went above and beyond to get it done. Agendas were completed, packets were stuffed, food was delivered hot and delicious, tables were decorated, parent issues were handled with a smile, and the first 2 days of school have gone off without a hitch. Despite a lot of change and action at our school, both physically and just in general, they stepped up and they lent a hand and they made me look good. My first 2 days. It's often those staff members who work diligently behind the scenes to make the heartbeat of the school continue its rhythm who get recognized the least. Some might say it's a thankless job. So tonight I want to thank and give a shout out to my office staff, Denise Freeman, Sam Anzuris, and Charlene Johnson, for helping make Southside a positive and successful school. Thank you.
All right. Are you ready for our next leader?
Here we go.
Your odds are getting better each time.
Yeah.
So, our next leader worked in many capacities prior to teaching: school bus driver, paraprofessional, cafeteria monitor, and after-school coordinator. This leader met the person who would become their future spouse in the 4th grade. This leader, as a student and employee, attended or worked at 14 different schools in Sarasota County. Drum roll, please. Would Troy Thompson, the proud principal at Lamarck Elementary, please stand, come forward, be recognized.
Good evening. First of all, thank you very much for this honor to come up here as a new principal at Lamarck. School board, superintendent Bowden, I appreciate it. So I wanted to, I love the impact that we saw up here with Jacob. Great example of what great things that happen in our district. At our welcome back breakfast, which really so far our experience as principals, it encompasses basically 2 days. So the 2 days back have been phenomenal. The impact of teachers on students was our theme when we came back, our welcome back breakfast. And we actually had 3 returning Lamarck students. Each of them were either in high school, graduated high school, or they've moved on with their careers or their lives. And they came back and they told their own story about how a teacher at Lamarck had impacted them. And there was a couple moments where there wasn't a dry eye in the room, you can imagine. They were sharing stories like Jacob's, where there was a teacher or there was a parent that supported them, and how because of that, they had become who they were today. So, you know, it's really important that we always remember the students is the reason why we're there. It's our purpose. And it was great that in our first day that we brought those students back. And again, I think it was a great way, an energetic way to start the school year at Lamarck Elementary. It is an honor to be there. The amazing staff, the teachers, is really where it's at. They're the ones that are involved in the learning and teaching of our students, building their character and supporting them. So again, it's an honor to be here, being introduced as the principal of Lamarck. I do want to do a shout out. My staff is phenomenal the past 2 days. And again, I know that we are one of the A schools in the district. I'm just so proud of that. And maintaining that level of excellence will be my goal, not only to support the teachers, to make sure that all students are being supported. So again, thank you for having me, and it's an honor to be the principal. So I think Mr. Renoff might have just saved my marriage. Because I have, as we saw Jacob's mother up here, I have the support of my wife, Maggie Thompson. She is an educator. She's a teacher, so she keeps me in line. And she's a 5th grade teacher at Ashton. So Maggie, again, she deserves a round of applause. I know. And my 2 daughters are here. They are a product of the Sarasota County schools. They're doing phenomenal. My daughter, Stefania, she's going to be entering Riverview as a 9th grader. Woohoo! So we're excited. She's a little nervous about it, but she's excited. I was a graduate in 1992, so it was at Riverview, so it was really important that she was able to go to school Dad went to. And also my daughter, Bella, she is a 7th grader at Sarasota Middle School. Yeah, they both played competitive softball, and they're just phenomenal students. And the interesting thing is I have the teachers, the administrators of the schools they've attended in their years to thank for the people they become. So again, thank you, and thank you, Chris, for saving my marriage. Thank you, sir. I recognize my wife. Thank you again.
You're good. All right, are we ready for our next one? Our next leader is an avid reader, spends most weekends boating, is a devoted Tampa Bay Bucks and Rays fan, and lived in Japan for 2 years while their father was in the Air Force. Little clue in there. Would you please welcome Cynthia Throw, proud principal of Atwater Elementary, to come on up. Be welcome to say a few words.
We're all very proud we got that one right up here, so woo!
School board, thank you so much for this opportunity. Coming from Hillsborough County, it is definitely a jump for you all to take someone from the outside, but I appreciate the opportunity. Atwater is an amazing school. I've been there a couple weeks and have learned so much about what goes on in Northport and what goes on at Atwater. I have an amazing staff who has jumped in to do anything that they could to make me at home and welcome. So I thank you. I am here with my parents, Dr. Joseph Throw and my mother Betty, and my friend Michelle Archer, who is also a teacher in Sarasota County. So thank you for this opportunity. I appreciate it.
And I think we're ready for our final one. Yes. So we should be hitting 100% here.
We got this one.
In case you haven't guessed, our final leader, before I announce, has a goal to run in every state and has run in 21 of them thus far. Was a teammate, believe it or not, of Jennifer and Zaza in the days when they taught together at Booker Middle School and would often run together after school. Favorite part of the job is reading to children and dressing up in character. You've got to see it as Dr. Seuss, and was a Florida Sheriff's Youth Explorer, and first career choice was to be a police officer. Please give a nice, warm welcome and congratulations to Patty Polino, our newest hire and proud principal at Tuttle Elementary.
To trick people. School board members, Dr. Bowden, thank you for having me. My family is here with me, my husband, my children, Melanie and Brett. We were just talking, Jen and I were reminiscing of me bringing Brett in a baby carrier to Booker Middle and helping in my classroom when I had to set things up. So I've just been blessed to be homegrown my education, my profession in Sarasota County. I love this district. I love everything it has to offer. And I am in the right place. Timing, Chris always says, it's all about timing. I am in the right place with the right staff. I have had a month now to meet a lot of my staff members, and they're just, people told me before I even went there, they're dedicated, they're committed to the children. We are a Title I school, and my goal and their goal is to become a high-achieving, high-minority, low socioeconomic school, and we will get there. When I surveyed my staff, I said, what's your goal? What are your goals? And this is all over the summer on their own time. They've completed this survey, and I had even paraprofessionals and support staff complete this survey. And overwhelmingly, their goal, no surprise, is to become an A school. Get back to where they once were. But in addition to that, the majority of my staff members, not just teachers, but all staff members said they also want to make sure that every child there feels confident and enjoys learning. And that's what they're all about. When I asked, how do you know your impact and how do you know that you've made a difference? You know, they talked about iReady and test scores, but overwhelmingly, again, it was that smile on the face. It was that raised posture and proud that they've been learning each and every day. So our goal and our motto this year is know your impact, celebrate your impact, and that's something what every staff member at the school is going to be reflecting on each and every day. Thank you for your time.
And so I just want to wrap up. Patty mentioned, I talk about timing throughout the entire process, from the site analysis to screening to interviews and selection. It's always about finding the very best candidate, the very best match, the best fit. And all I want to say, and I'm a sports guy, we hit a home run. Yeah. We hit a home run, so please welcome and recognize our newest elementary principals one more time.
Mrs. Brown.
I just wanted to say welcome, and it is great to see that, you know, many of you even went to school and were students and then were teachers and now have become principals. That's something that, you know, we're proud of, that what we do. We promote from within. Yeah, we sometimes will go outside, but you must have been exceptional for us to find you and bring you in. So I'm glad to see that. And Stephanie, my grandson, Kai Brown, is going to be a freshman over at Riverview. Yeah, so if you find him, he'll probably make himself known over there. But if you see him, you know, keep an eye on him for me, would you? You know, but tell him I'm watching. Thank you.
Thank you. Sorry, Dr. Bowden.
And so I just want to follow up on Mrs. Brown's comments, is that as we look for principals, it reinforces the importance of our leadership development programs, but we shouldn't be closed off to opportunities to bring new perspectives and new ideas. And so, you know, really our goal is not to always hire from within, because you can't just perpetuate, but you have to bring in new ideas. And so the idea that 3 of our 4 principals taught for us, were assistant principals here and are now principals, but then to draw talent from surrounding districts who we've invited to say, hey, there might be something that you can do better, to bring ideas from other places. And so this is really the right mix that you strive for, which is you depend on your own pipeline of talent, and then you go cherry pick to bring in different perspectives.
Thank you. Mrs. Zucker.
I just wanted to congratulate you all. I've known 2 of you for many, many years, and I'm so happy for you. You absolutely are hard workers. You deserve to be principals. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And Mr. Renoff, I have to tell you, this was awesome. Like, I think this is a great way to welcome everyone, so thank you. And truly, not to diminish congratulations to you guys, but I think this is a great way to celebrate our leadership and what's to come in the start of the school year. So well done. Loved it. Congratulations. Let's see here. Next, we have the superintendent's report.
Tanya, if you want to make your way to the podium. We have another leader that we'd like to introduce to you tonight. The Triad program is a program with a long history here in Sarasota County. The decision has been made to transition the responsibility for Triad from the local YMCA to our school district. And so, just like when I talked about how do you start or renew a program, you go find a great teacher. Well, if you're going to take on a Triad program, the first thing you have to do, the most important hire, is that you find a leader that you believe serves kids first, and you build a program around that vision. And so, Sonia, if you'll introduce that individual to us.
Yes, and we also are very excited. Good evening, board chairman, school board members, Superintendent, Mr. Hardy, and community members. We have taken the challenge to take over a great school for our youth that at times are at risk. And To me, this evening is a pleasure to introduce Melanie Ritter. And Melanie Ritter is our new director for the program at Triad. Behind a great woman, there's always a great man. So Mr. Ritter is here with us. Good for you, because you're going to be sharing Melanie with us and continue sharing Melanie. But I'd like to read a few things about Melanie and why we're so excited with a new vision for our youth. Melanie understands the importance of stability, and it comes in leading instruction for students accessing an alternative education program. Melanie brings a vision of connecting resources and helping students restore their actions so they can return to their neighborhood school with a positive view in terms of finishing their academic as well as social community integration. So with you this evening is Melanie Ritter.
Thank you. Thank you very much for having me. About a week ago, when I was sitting in my office in Venice, and Mr. Jackson, my principal, came to get me and said that Dr. Bowden and Steve Cantice were here to talk to me. That's never a good thing this time of year. So I told him, no, I said, no way, Eric. He goes, no, seriously. And I said, oh my goodness. So I walked down, and they both had these great smiles on their face. I'm like, wow, it can't be me. I'm the APA. I just got this job. And it was me, and I am so thankful. I had some reservations because it's Triad and because I've always worked with at-risk kids, and I was doing something new. But I'm so honored to be back with my passion, and that is working with those at-risk students and making a difference in their life, reconnecting them to their schools, getting them college and career ready, and really making them part of our community. So I'm honored again to be part of that. Thank you.
Thank you. Don't go anywhere. Nope. All sorts of people want to speak right now. Mr. Robinson.
I'm not dead to you.
That's a running joke. I'm not going to say that in public.
You never know.
I'm just going to say that, I in and out of Venice High all the time, whether they lock the doors or not. I figured out a way to get in. And I normally end up going up the side door by her office, and she's always there working. I see her around the campus. She's such a consummate educator in the truest sense of the word. So, Dr. Bowden, you couldn't have picked a finer person. It's truly Venice High is lost, but it's Triad and Sonia's and those kids at Triad's gain. But you're really going to create a hole in Venice for the impact that you have had on not only the school, the kids, but the surrounding community that really supports and really is thankful for everything you've done at Venice. So thank you again, Melanie.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mrs. Goodwin.
Well. Melanie Ritter is a very special person to me, and I know what a can-do individual you are, and you're such a professional in every way. I was conflicted when I first heard this, and you haven't heard from me personally because I've been so busy lately, as you can probably imagine, but I was conflicted because I hated losing you at Venice High, but I love Triad, and I've spent probably 10 of the last 15 years working very closely with Triad. It's a program that I understand and I've worked with for a very long time, having a close affiliation with the Y. And I've been concerned about it in the last few years, considerably concerned. And you are just the person to go in there and to make all the difference in the world. So I'll be coming in to see you, and I'll do some volunteer work there. You can bet on that. But I'm so pleased because I think that this is a group that will benefit so much from your passion and for your educational expertise in helping kids that really need the help, and these kids really do need the help. So congratulations. I'm looking forward to seeing you there and working with you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mrs. Zucker.
I'd like to congratulate you also. I've spent many years. Mike. Sorry. I'd like to congratulate you also. I've spent many years at Triad and their graduations, and it's just phenomenal when you hear and see what these students have overcome, and it's because of a school Triad. So I was curious when Dr. Bowden told me that he took someone from Venice and put you in Triad, and I wasn't sure you were going to be happy. So I'm glad to hear that you're happy that this is a passion for you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Bowden?
So Melanie and I first got to know each other when she was an assistant principal at Riverview High School. And so if you want to know why I showed up in your office in Venice, it's not because of the great work you were doing at Venice, because that's absolutely true. It was because of a conversation we had years and years ago back at Riverview. Riverview is a very large, diverse population, but Melanie connected to those students in ways that other adults did not. If you wanted to know what was happening at Riverview High School, Melanie knew what was happening at Riverview High School. Melanie has a passion for kids first, and I knew the connection that she made to 2,000 kids at Riverview, and she is a passionate advocate for kids. And what I've told her is to go and understand Triad, to learn Triad, but not to be afraid to say there might be a better way to do this, and to challenge the conventional thinking. And if there's a better way to serve those kids, I have every confidence in the world that Melanie's going to come and see me and say, here's how things work now, and here's a better way to do it, and I insist that we do it the better way. And so that's why you're at Triad, is because your heart is with kids, and if you can connect to 2,000 kids, those 80 to 100 kids at Triad are going to love you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well, that was a beautiful statement. So I wanted to say congratulations, and I think that Triad provides a unique opportunity for students who really deserve a second chance, and having strong and focused leadership, and hearing you say that this is really an area of your passion really, I think, speaks volumes. And whatever we can do to support you in that effort, we are here. So congratulations.
Thank you so much.
That concludes the superintendent's report.
Thank you. Moving on to the hearing of citizens. Each speaker will have 3 minutes to speak. When the time flashes yellow, 1 minute remains, and you need to begin to summarize. You must stop speaking when the buzzer rings. Please note that respect for divergent viewpoints and civility will be shown at every board meeting. Whether you agree or disagree with a speaker, you should listen politely and respectfully without making any sounds of approval or disapproval, including clapping. The first speaker I have, Irene Sessa. Nope. Okay. And I think the second one was Cynthia Crow, which I believe I see also departed. Next up is Pamela Gavette. And okay.
Everyone did not depart. Thank you so much. Pamela Gavette, Venice, Florida. Tonight I was hoping to get an update on the safety and security, mainly how much money has been spent, and an update on the budget, and perhaps a timeline of how things will roll out. I know that item 67 was removed from the agenda. I know that those expenses have already been paid for the language, and looking forward to, I guess, January, a retreat that will come. After reading in the paper about the superintendent potentially looking elsewhere based on the makeup of the board after the elections, I was wondering about the taxpayer dollars for the legal fees, and I had just had 2 quick questions. If he were to leave, would we still be responsible for those fees, and is there a cap that has been placed on those fees? That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Vic Rowie. I should know. No. Okay. Oh, okay. I'm sorry. This is Nikki Shore. Okay. Snow. I'm so sorry. You have beautiful handwriting, though. I just can't read it. But it's
Oh, well done.
Good evening, board members and Dr. Bowden. My name is Nikki Snow. I'm an extremely proud parent of a boy who began as a kindergartner and is now heading into his first year of middle school at Imagine School at Palmer Ranch. My husband and I have kept him there over the course of the years because of the nurturing, safe, and academically and socially sound environment that the school has created. Having the elementary school and the middle school in the same building allows him to continue his education with his close-knit group of friends that he has built over the years. My husband and I feel that that is priceless. The decrease in funding this year to charter schools has been hard to swallow. It is very hard to understand how withholding funds will have anything but a negative impact on our children's education. We do ask that you please reconsider providing the full capital funding to our schools so that our children have the best opportunity possible to achieve academic success. The money for the resources needed to ensure this is crucial. Our children deserve it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next is Shamas Isabel.
Yeah, hello. My name is Isabelle Choma. So I'm French, so I try to speak so nice as I can. I'm the parent from Juliet and Matteo. We came here over to the United States 5 years ago. My children couldn't talk any English, not write, not read, no nothing. And we were lucky to be at Imagine School at Palmer Ranch. It's a charter school. And this school convinced me at the second I came in. We looked, so there were, of course, I had one child in kindergarten and one child in elementary direction middle school. And it was very challenging for us because it was everything new, and we needed, and we felt very comfortable and safe. And my children felt very safe too. And I could feel the respect, and maybe through the small size of the school, everyone was knowing each other. And the older children were helping the smaller children, which is very... So basically, I was very lucky. We were very lucky to find this school. Juliet started in a Riverview IB program, and she was very well prepared, especially in mathematics with Ms. Carrico, and she excelled in her high school grades, and through her good preparation at her middle school time in her charter school, she could also excel in academics and have the time to excel in rowing, which is rowing for Sarasota crew. So, but the academic level was 1 point, but the safe and the confident and the atmosphere, the loving atmosphere, that everyone is knowing each other and everyone can help each other. So, and I think this school need all the support because they are doing an awesome job. They are straight A school since a long time now. Miss Wright is a great principal, and she's doing all what she can. But of course, you need money to get the good teacher on the technique, everything. So I wish we are not letting the smaller schools on the side, and I wish them to get some support too. I did my best.
Yes, well done.
I'm sorry.
Thank you. Next is Christine Miller.
Hello, thank you for the opportunity to address the board, Superintendent. My name is Christine Miller. I'm the Region Finance Director for Imagine Schools at Northport and Imagine Schools at Palmer Ranch. I am also a taxpayer, a voter, and a parent of 2 children in the Sarasota County public school system. Like you, I take very seriously the duties of ensuring that our public school students receive the best education possible. I am here to advocate for parity in funding all public schools, traditional and charter. Tonight, you're being presented with multiple proposals for reinstating local capital outlay funds to the charter schools. I'm here to advocate for proposal number 2. While the proposal number 3 is generous, it in effect funds public schools students slightly higher than traditional schools. And as I said, as I'd like to point out, I'm for equity of all students in the public school system. Thus, the equitable decision that restores the parity in funding would be Proposal 2, which takes into account the PICO funds that are received by the charter schools, and it supplements those funds to ensure that my taxpayer dollars are equally distributed among all of the public school students in charter or traditional schools. And Proposal 2 is also within the budget and returns the charters to the previous funding levels. This board has always demonstrated a collaborative spirit in sharing the public resource benefits with all of the public school students within our community. And I urge the board to resume this practice so that we can provide every public school student in our community with the resources that they need. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. Next is John Bailey.
Good evening, board members and Dr. Bowden. I'm sure you're going to hear a lot from different charter individuals. My name is John Bailey. I'm the principal of Sky Academy Inglewood. And unlike other charter schools, we are fairly unique in the fact that Monday is starting our 4th year. And when you take a look at the various different proposals that you have in front of you, we were not eligible for PICO per state law for the first 2 years. And so in Proposal 2, which is a fantastic proposal, you'll see a big 0 next to our number for PICO because we legally were not able to receive it. And so as you look at the different proposals, I would just ask you to please think of the newest charter school. And we are also pretty unique in the fact that there's no other middle school that serves Inglewood in Sarasota County. We have a large number of Sarasota County residents who, if we did not exist, would be going to Charlotte County due to the, I believe, antiquated policy that exists of creating home schools in different counties. And so by all means, we are, in fact, your Sarasota County Inglewood Middle School because we're the only ones there, and so we win by default. But due to the fact we didn't get PICO the first 2 years, I would hope that as you take a look at the options, that you take that into consideration, as well as the fact that as a new school, we opened in 2015 with 85 kids, finished the year with 100. Year 2, we were at 170. Year 3, which was last year, 223. And this year, we're going to be at 280 students. And so a 3-year average also is harmful to our school population due to the fact that it's taking into consideration an average that includes 100 students and then 170 students, while we are being tasked to serve this year 280 students. And with that incorporates building new classrooms and building new facilities for our students due to the fact that we are growing. And like any new business, it takes a while to fully build out and to fully get to your capacity in order to serve the total population that you have been given. And so we are growing, we are doing quite well, and I'll just ask that as you take a look at the different proposals, you take into consideration that we are your newest charter school, starting year 4 tomorrow or next Monday, and that you just take a look at whatever proposal you use to make sure that there's an equitable distribution and we're not forgotten due to the fact that we didn't exist prior to getting, or opening our doors. So thank you. I would like to say thank you so much for considering the charter schools. And I know that this is a tough time period, and the state legislature is not making it helpful for all of us by creating undue burdens on us without funding them. And so I do appreciate your consideration and your time. Thank you so much.
Thank you. The last 2 items I have, speakers I have were on item number 67, Esther Rockwell, and then James Rockwell. Okay. That concludes hearing of citizens. Moving on to item number 4, any additions or corrections to the agenda. Agenda, Mr.
Taking my Brooklyn. Move approval of the agenda.
Wait.
One second.
Waiting for the superintendent to respond.
Yes, on item 7, the approval of minutes, the July 31st, 2018 public hearing to adopt the tentative millage and budget minutes were added after the agenda was released to the public.
Okay. Thank you.
I move for approval of the consent agenda as amended.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any comments? Seeing none, members vote on the agenda, consent agenda as amended.
Come on, come up.
All in favor?
There it is.
We are, I think, moving towards a different computer system soon enough, so the suspense of the electronic votes may be more quick.
Okay.
Okay, voice vote. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? And the motion passes unanimously. Moving on to new business.
I would move that the State College of Florida Collegiate School Venice Charter application to the school board be approved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second on, item number 63. Mr. Robinson?
I happen to have the pleasure of actually being on the other side because this is a long time coming. SCF put their application in years ago, and then stopped it because they wanted to make sure that they did it right. And at the end of the day, they met 100% of the requirements, which is extremely, extremely odd. And I do want to point out, we hear a lot about for-profit and profit. This is a governmental charter school. This is not management or anything like that. This is a government charter school that's owned by every person in this room if you're a resident of the state of Florida. So I just want to point out that distinction for people, and we enjoy a great relationship at the Venice campus with SCF, and so I'm going to be approving this.
Thank you, Mrs. Brown. Sorry.
Yeah, it is unique in that it is co-located, with the State College of Florida, and when the students graduate, they will graduate with an AA degree, and probably also with in hand, I'm sure, some scholarships to go on and finish their education. But it's a model that's working around the state, and I think they've got one up in Manatee County, so they know what they're doing, and they're working forward, and I think it's another addition to something we don't have right now.
Thank you. Mrs. Goodwin.
I am in favor of this because I know of students who have graduated from the collegiate school in Manatee County, and they have done very, very well academically, and yes, it has been helpful to their parents from a financial standpoint, but it's also been a great assistance academically. We can use this in South County. We can use this for parents at Pineview who do not like the articulation agreement for Pineview students to attend this school. And next year we will start with an 11th grade class and then move to a 12th grade class and so forth. So it will be a transition period. And I'm looking forward to seeing this implemented fully because I think it is unique and it is something different that we'll have in South County. Charter schools, of course, are supposed to be unique and we're supposed to do things a little differently. And this school will be, I think, a welcome addition in South County. So I am voting for this for that reason.
Thank you. I, too, will be supporting this. I think that Manatee County's example is a perfect example, and this is a successful model, and I believe that a number, well, I think that it's a testament of how long it took for them to get the application right and do it right. So I'm excited to see the opportunity for Sarasota County students, because this will be a voice vote essentially.
Why?
Because there was no recommendation. No, it's approve or deny. That's all. You said it.
She moved for the approval, so we'll vote for the approval.
I've already voted electronically.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm ready to submit it.
I apologize. Disregard what I said. Members, please vote on the motion to approve. And the motion passes 5-0. Moving on to the next item of new business, number 64.
I would move that the School Resource Officers Program between the City of Sarasota, Florida, and the School Board of Sarasota County, Florida, effective July 1, 2018 through June 30th, 2019, be approved as presented.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Dr. Bowden.
Yes, just a point of clarification. This contract was drawn up before In fact, it's been in process. There are a number of contingencies in this contract for the Sarasota PD to staff elementary schools within their jurisdiction. So when you see the financial impact of $820,000, the financial impact actually is down to about $450,000 because we have notified the city of Sarasota that, as appreciative as we are, that they were ready to serve in the elementary schools, that our internal police department will be on the job the first day of school, and that we will not be needing those officers. And so this contract has a number of clauses, and there's some language specific to if they needed to cover the elementary schools, and I just wanted to get that on record before the contract was approved or disapproved.
Thank you. Mrs. Brown.
Well, I'm just hoping that we had an executive session before this on an update of where we are in our safety and security. We're way ahead of, I think, every other district out there, and our schools, if they're not fully up to where we want them to be yet, but we're working on it. Our schools are going to be safe when they open. We are continuing those contracts that we had last year with these law enforcement officers in the middle and high schools, and we've got them set up, and we're working with the sheriff to man all of our elementary schools. I hope that we can come together and support this now. We're hearing from the sheriff, we're hearing from our police from the Sarasota, Venice, and Northport that they're working together with our law enforcement here on the campus, and it looks like it's doing good, and I would like to ask us all to support this so that we can show these guys that are out there working for us, and we've just hired, that we're there for them, and we're behind them, and we're supporting all of them, because we're going to be working as a team this year and going forward also, because we will never walk away from the partnership we have with the cities and the county, because even when we fully staff our own force, we will still need them. It's going to be a partnership forward. This is the way it's going to be this year, but going forward, there'll still be a partnership with our local law enforcement.
Thank you. Mrs. Zucker.
I just wanted to briefly talk about what I've been hearing in the community, and that is that we should not have our own police force. I'll tell you, it's one of the best things that we've done. We have the personnel already in place for our elementary schools. We've hired them, and we have a working relationship with our municipalities and the sheriff. And this, truly, we will end up, not that this is the bottom line for us, but we will end up saving money by having our own police force, and they will be good security people on our campuses for when we need them, because they're our people. They don't belong to somebody else. They work for the school system. And believe me, that makes a big difference. Thank you.
Thank you. I just want to add and again thank the city of Sarasota and the continued partnership that they've had. I also want to thank Mr. Hardy, because I know you have worked pretty tirelessly on these contracts back and forth, so I appreciate that as well. I don't know, you often don't get enough credit for the work that you do behind the scenes. So unless there are any other comments, if members can vote on the motion before them. And the motion passes 5-0. Moving on to the next item of new business, 65, approval of instructional and classified personnel report.
I would move that the instructional classified personnel report be approved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any comments? Seeing none, members, please vote on the motion before you.
Oh, wait a minute. This is a different motion.
Oh, wait.
Hold on, let me see.
I might have just voted on the capital school.
I'm checking to see if it. Okay, so for the record, did that register an incorrect vote for the wrong item? I'm sorry? It was canceled? Okay. So can we vote again on this, or?
We can.
All right. And the motion passes 4-1. Moving on to the next item of new business. Number 66, charter school capital allocation.
That the allocation be approved as presented.
There's three options, so there's no.
I know, yeah, I was trying to put it on, making a motion, and then have it seconded, and then you have discussion.
But there's, okay, for clarification, right, there's three different options, so there's nothing necessarily presented. Today we have to select one of, or potentially select one of the proposed options. Dr. Bowden, am I correct in that?
That is correct.
Okay. Did you have any did you want to? Well, before we move to this is a pretty robust set of data that was.
Can I ask a Sesame Street question first?
Okay, Mr. Robinson.
I just have a Sesame Street question before we start. I see Proposal 1, Proposal 2, Proposal 3, but then I see something above Proposal 1, Proposal 2, Proposal 3 that says 2018-19. Is that Proposal 4, or what is that? Because that's the one I like.
Okay, so that is kind of where we are today. And so if you, may I?
So isn't there 4 options? That's what I'm trying to understand. Are there 4 options or 3 options?
Well, I have 3 proposals in front of you, but I would say that your options are, you could also have the status quo, which would be a 4th, or you could order off the menu and come up with your own proposal. So